But I also want to talk about this. Parking officers are on the rise, potentially outnumbering UK soldiers. I mean, that's your headline right there, isn't it? There's more parking wardens than soldiers. Man alive. Councils, of course, prioritising revenue from fines. Critics question the focus on enforcement over national needs, while Rachel Reeves, in a separate story, faces calls for a pay-per-mile tax to replace lost fuel duties. Of course, this has come around because of electric cars. And that was always coming around the tracks, wasn't it? You get rid of all of that vehicle excise duty. Where does that money come from? Well, you might have the answer. Let's speak with Steve Berry, motoring journalist, former Top Gear presenter, big friend of the show as well. Steve, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Ian.
When was the last time you got ticketed, Steve?
A while back.
Yeah.
I have got wise to their tricks. I tend to not go into the city centre of Manchester.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I live in one of the less salubrious postcodes, and I say unfortunately for all kinds of reasons, but fortunately, they don't come to my part of town, mate.
Hey.
If you go to a city like Manchester, you'll see that the city centre is parking policed like a military operation.
Yeah.
If you stay 1 minute over, there's somebody stood next to your car. However, as you get out to the gentrified bits of Manchester, you are more likely to see John Lennon and Jimi Hendrix on a tandem than you are. You can go to Cheetham Hill, mate, which is about 1.5 miles from the city centre. You can see not double parking, triple parking. Cars parked 3 abreast on double yellow lines.
Wow.
One on the double yellow line, one next to it, and one on the pavement. But you know what you won't see? Anybody getting a ticket. And I don't blame those traffic wardens, because I wouldn't go down that part of town putting tickets on people's cars. Because you know what would happen? Something bad.
Something bad, yeah. That you would get a slap and probably more from somebody.
We've got two-tier policing. We've got two-tier parking. We've got parts of town where you can't get away with anything. On other parts of town where you can literally abandon your car in the middle of the road and nobody's going to put a ticket on it.
Yeah. I had this today. You know when you kind of toy with the idea, look, I know I shouldn't park there, do I take the risk? Because if I take the risk, I'm going to get well, they always say it's £100 fine, but it's 50 quid. I don't want to pay a £50 fine. But I was late and everything was against me. The trains were up the chute and I thought, do I park there or there? We all go through that debate. But of course, what I suppose is the big threat, Steve, that hangs over us all, the enormous fees that you have to pay. You get fined more for parking your car on the wrong coloured paint than you would if you smacked somebody in the face.
Yeah, but the other thing we've got in Manchester, which I'm sure we've got in other parts of the country, but it's very apparent here because there's a big contrast between the footballists who are all on £1 million a week coming in and Kermit the Frog green or, purple people into purple Lamborghinis. They just rock up in the centre of the city, park where the hell they like, because, and I'm sure you're aware of this, the football clubs deal with all of their parking maladies. Not only do they not need to worry about paying the 40 quid because they earn that, they earn way more than that in the time it takes me and you to have this conversation.
Yeah.
But we don't even have to deal with paying the ticket. The club, you'll see it. People who come into Manchester will notice it. They'll say, why is that Puce Lamborghini parked on the pavement there and it's got parking ticket on it? They don't care. They just rock up outside these restaurants that pop up in the city and last about 6 months before they go bust. They park it right outside. They get a parking ticket. They don't care. So not only we've got policing, we've got two-tier parking.
Yeah. That's a very good point. And when you look at the fact that there's 147,000 army personnel, which makes up 50% in total, and councils are in line to have collectively increased that number to have more traffic wardens than soldiers. That's quite a fairly breathtaking figure, Steve.
But you know what I'm going to do, mate? I'm going to say I can see the other side of the argument because I can. Because I used to operate out of an office virtually in the city centre of Manchester, just off Deansgate, the main drag.
I know it.
As best known to themselves, the council allowed the parking regulations to lapse because, of course, they have to reply, they have to renew the parking restrictions, modify them, they have to go through a process. Somebody worked out that that had happened. How long would you guess it was, mate, before utter chaos descended on that part of Manchester?
Go on.
2 days.
Wow.
I watched it all happen through my office window. Word got around because of the internet. Oh, yeah, the parking restrictions on that Chapel Street and Bridge Street and all that, they've lapsed. You can just park there. People were just rocking up and just abandoning their cars.
Yeah.
And it was 2 days before, and I swear to God, 2 days before people were going at each other in the streets, before they were throwing hands. So unless you regulate parking, chaos descends. I'll never forget going to Naples and seeing a traffic warden pull a gun on somebody.
What?
I swear to God that happened. Naples is a pretty exceptional place, but it was a woman, a female traffic warden, and this argument got so crazy. She pulled a gun, and I thought, I've seen everything now. Traffic warden pulled a gun on somebody. But parking's one of those things. People can get very upset and excited about it. Yeah. But I'm saying this, if you don't regulate parking, chaos descends.
I know, and I share that view, Stephen. I've never quite, I mean, it does seem just disproportionate that the fines are very, very big for what is, in the grander scale of life, a very minor misdemeanour. So notwithstanding the fact that I do understand everything you've just said, simultaneously, you could wipe somebody's weekly budget out by just sticking a ticket on their car. So that side of it is tricky. And of course, it's a multi-million, probably billion-pound business. The people that run the car parks where I live I looked them up because I got a ticket a little while back, and they proudly boast they are Europe's biggest car parking company. So they're not just here, they're all over the place. There's big money in their parking hills.
There are, and the problem is they get addicted to the revenue, don't they? Yeah. But in public, they have to say, oh, it's all about persuading people to use more efficient, more effective ways of moving about the built environment. We'd like them to take the tram. We'd like them to get on a bus. The problem if you get on a bus or a tram, I'm going to say again, people are going to go, does this guy just bang on about Manchester? I'm sure it's the same in Birmingham or Glasgow or Cardiff or Newcastle, wherever the heck you are. If you get on public transport, you have to mix with those people that Margaret Thatcher warned us about. Do you remember when she said that? She said, if a man in his 30s, and me and you, that's a long way for them, finds himself on a bus, he has to ask himself the question, why? Yeah. And I thought, because, you go on public transport and there be dragons. It's all very well for them saying that. I remember seeing our glorious mayor, Andy Burnham, doing a broadcast from Eccles bus station, and his mayoral car was parked about 3 or 4 feet out of shot. So as I cycled by, I was cycling. I wasn't driving, I was cycling. As I cycled by, I hurled some abuse in the general direction, so they had to do it again. Stand next to a bus and then get in your car and buzz off to your office. Go on, telling us to go on buses. And was he going on the bus? Was he hellers like? Was he hellers like? It's Berry on a bike that I'm still stuck with that image now. Well, the thing is, although I am a proponent of internal combustion, whether it comes with 2 wheels attached to it or 4 wheels attached to it, I've always been a keen cyclist since I was a kid. I'm from Bury. We had Reg Harris, who was like the multiple sports personality of the year cyclist. And then recently, the Yates brothers, one of them finished 3rd in the Tour de France, went to my school. Yep. So I've always been a mad cyclist. And a lot of the time, I've gone towards the car and then thought, nah, I'm going to rock up on the bicycle. It's 2 mile. I'm going to cycle, and then I'm going to do what I have to do. And then do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a couple of pints of British bitter beer brewed in Lancashire. Yeah. And then I have to worry about getting a pull on the way home, because if I lose my driving licence, that's my livelihood and my career down the Swanee. Correct. Plus, I don't agree with drink driving. Although, after my last escapade, after I had 1 too many and tried to cycle home, I woke up in the morning, Ian, and I had 2 things. I had a really big weird bruise on my leg, and not just the seat, but the entire seat post was missing off my bicycle. Really? And I'm damn I don't know what happened to it. So you can't remember. Someone nicked part of your bike. I can't remember. Massive bruise. I thought, oh, how did I do that? And then I looked at my back and I thought,
where's my seat?
In the seat post. And then I think that's related to the massive bruise. But
I think it probably is. Listen, Steve, you may need that bike a little more going forward, of course, because just a final story here. Rachel Reeves facing calls to introduce pay per mile. This is largely to address the decline in fuel duty revenues caused by electric cars. We knew this was going to happen years ago. They've talked about pay per mile forever, haven't they? It's never happened in this country, although... no, the M6, that's not a pay per mile, it's a toll, isn't it? On that,
yeah.
If you want to take that part of the M6. So we don't have pay per mile here, do we, as far as I can think?
But when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I was talking to my daughter earlier and she said, so she's 30, and she said, well, you don't just get a bill from the electric company saying, here is your bill for electric, which is the same as everybody else's bill.
Yeah.
You don't get a utility. The roads are a utility, but there isn't like a standing charge for any other utility. With anything else, you pay as you go. You switch the light on, you turn on the gas fire, you pay as you go.
Yeah.
The problem with pay as you drive, of course, is Big Brother is very much watching you, my friend. They know where you're going. They know when you're going. And I think a lot of people are worried about something written down on paper that pops through the door when they're not there.
100%.
That people that are living in that house exactly where they've been and exactly when they've been. Oh, you went to the football with the lads, did you? Well, here on the pay as you drive, it says that you were 3 miles in the other direction, you dirty dog. This is the problem. We're all going to be what? But here's the thing, Ian. People are saying, the problem with pay per mile is we're being watched all the time. Mate, you know this, I know this. We're being watched all the time already.
Well,
know exactly.
Yeah, that is often the overarching point, isn't it, to all of that. Listen, it's always great. Steve, you've been fabulous. Thank you again. Steve Berry, motoring journalist. You may remember Steve from the days he presented Top Gear as well.